Hi, ISP faculty. Welcome to Utilizing ESL Strategies in Teaching Students and Understanding Cultural Differences. Notice that it's teaching students and not just international students, because these are strategies that will definitely help across the board. Understanding cultural differences I will touch on because it's not just what we're accustomed to in South Florida and our multicultural beauty, but couple that with the age group in high school and homework and so many different things and pressures and being away from home, what they're accustomed to, and the educational system. All of these things make dealing with the cultural differences very unique to us. So we will begin by transporting ourselves into a high school English classroom. We are international, you are international students, and I am the teacher. So here is an excerpt from Warhorse, the novel. And you are sitting there and you are prepared with your highlighter and binder and your novel, and you're ready to go because you want to just soak it up. And I walk in as the teacher and I say, class, remember that yesterday we touched upon figurative language. So keep your eyes and ears open for that in our reading today. Raise your hand if you remember what idiom is. Oh, good job, Johnny. That's exactly what it is. How about an example? Good, good, good. Susie, how about personification? Personification, yes, good job. That's exactly what it means. And Billy, how about imagery? How do you explain that in your own words? Okay, good. All right, so the teacher is using, we do this often, very auditory, and it is helpful as a refresher. Um, but then we move on. The teacher moves on. Okay, I'm going to start on page 107 and follow along with me. We're going to answer some questions at the end. I had made up my mind to do just that when there was an explosion of white light above my head and the traqueteo of a machine gun, Joaquin the One Air, the bullets latigando the ground por del lado de mí. I ran again and kept running into the noche, tropezando frecuentemente en las zanjas and coberturas until the fields lost their grass and the trees were mero tocones against the flashing skyline. All right, so that passage that we just read, you're going to get with a partner. You can choose your partners and answer questions 1 through 6. Raise your hand if you have a question and I will come to you. So at this time, the majority of us, we go to our podium, we go to students with their hands up, but the international students, more likely than not, they are not going to ask questions. They're a little self-conscious, not only about their English, but they want to appear that like they know what's going on. They like to appear like they are smart and everybody else is busy and everybody else understands, and they don't want to stand out in that way. So they may be lost in the cracks in this particular lesson. And beyond that, what I have created here is somewhat of what international students might be perceiving as they look at these words. Of course, it depends on the level of your ESOL student, but a lot of these words, especially if at the very beginning, there's an idiom or an expression that said, I had made up my mind. And your international student might get hung up on that because they might say, what is made up my mind? How do you make up your mind? So they spend a couple seconds trying to figure out what that means, and the teacher's already on line 4 or 5. So then they're trying to catch up. And then they missed out on some words, and now they see some other words that are out of context and they don't understand them. So it has made for one lost student. So when the student also is partnering up, he or she's looking around, and most everybody chooses their buddy or their friend. So they either work by themselves or someone else's maybe, picks them afterwards, or the usual scene plays out. So They might get with somebody, they might not. Um, Here is a little bit more of an ideal scenario in Warhorse English class, take two. So the teacher walks in. She also reminds them about the figurative language from the day before. But not only do the students give examples, but now she has the notes up on the board. And she tells the students, these are the notes that we had yesterday. You can have those open while we are reading today because you are going to have to pick different parts of figurative speech, figurative language from the passage that we read. Here's an example of idiom, how it's totally off from literal language. There's no way it can be raining cats and dogs, but here we mean it to be raining heavily. Imagery, think of the word image, okay, a picture of something. So an example is it was a dark and dim in the forest. It's painting a picture. Personification, I'm also going to break it down to person, given human-like qualities to something non-human. It's the writer trying to make a person out of something that is not. For example, lightning danced across the sky. Lightning really can't dance, so this author wrote or made lightning into given it human-like qualities. That is personification. So now we go back to our reading. And when the teacher reads, now the students have more of an idea or they remember what these examples of figurative language are. So she reads it again. This time she pauses and asks Billy to act out this scene with a partner. What is traqueteo of a machine gun, Billy? And traqueteo actually means the rattle of a machine gun. So Billy and his partner would be acting out a machine gun, and then in line 4 where it says the bullets latigando the ground por del lado de mí, she would ask somebody else to possibly act that out or explain what that means. So in between the reading, when students are asked to rephrase something, that is major help for the international students as well. It's painting a picture, it's making things clearer. Now, when it comes to the questioning part, this is probably one of the biggest things I would love for you to take away from this training. The preparing of groups ahead of time, which is a great strategy across the board because number one, it is you strategically place students for the best possible product or outcome. You make sure that international students are included. And then going beyond that, to assign roles for different students. One is the recorder, another one researches, another one presents. Those strategies cause the international student to feel a part, to be listened to help them practice their English in a smaller at a smaller scale instead of reading answers or reading something out loud to the whole class. It helps to relieve that pressure. And it also gives them opportunity to get to know more people and people to get to know them. So that would be one of the biggest things that I would encourage, to plan a little bit ahead of time. That's something you can do on the spot after you get to know your students, or have already groups set before you're even going to present the lesson or the questions. If each student is going to give an answer, it is also a great idea for international students to know ahead of time which question they are going to answer in the group. Say, okay, you're going to answer number 4, Juanita. So they know and they are confident when they are speaking to articulate and to pronounce because they've already practiced it either with their group or in their heads. So all of the things, the differences between take 1 and take 2 are presenting a picture, whether